The reason you keep repeating the same mistakes isn't a failure of willpower, it's that you're living inside a limiting, outdated script. We'll show you the 3-step system to identify and rewrite the core story in your head to fundamentally change your future.
For years, we've all been told the same thing. Just try harder. Just find more discipline. But let's be honest, if that actually worked, you wouldn't feel stuck. The thing is, most of us are focused on the wrong thing. We're treating the symptom. That moment of procrastination, that skipped workout. We see those as failures of willpower. But the real leverage point, where lasting change actually happens, isn't in the action. It's in the core story you're telling yourself about who you are.
And that's exactly what this is all about. It's a system we call narrative engineering, and it's built on a really powerful paradox. Every single sustained change you make, every habit that finally sticks, it's just a byproduct of your internal story. So the most effective way to change your life isn't to force yourself to do things differently, it's to first edit your internal autobiography, that quiet, automatic script that's been running your life in the background.
So, let's talk about the willpower paradox. Why does trying to force change feel like pushing a giant boulder uphill, only to have it roll right back down the second you get tired? Well, it's not a personal failing, I promise you. There's a very real, scientific reason willpower almost always fails when we need it most. You're fighting a battle you are just not designed to win because you've been fighting the wrong enemy all along.
Okay, the invisible wall you keep smacking into? It's called identity action conflict. Just think about it for a second. Let's say your desired action is, I'm going to exercise every morning. But if your deep, core identity, your story, is, I'm a lazy person, you've literally just declared a civil war inside your own head. You're asking your brain to perform an action that flat out violates its own definition of who you are. And that conflict, well, that's the root of almost all self-sabotage.
Now, this internal battle creates this intense psychological stress that scientists call cognitive dissonance. I want you to imagine a guitar string inside your mind that's just horribly out of tune, vibrating with this painful friction. That feeling is dissonance. See, your brain is what you could call a consistency engine. It absolutely craves alignment between who it thinks you are and what you do. And when those two things are out of sync, your brain will do anything to stop the pain. And what's the easiest way to do that? It's not to change a belief you've held for years. It's to stop the new uncomfortable action. So you revert back to the old habit just to make the friction go away.
This chart just lays it out so perfectly. You've got two paths. On one side, you have willpower. It's high resistance. It drains your mental batteries. And let's be real, it's completely unreliable. The first stressful day comes along and poof, it's gone. That's the path of struggle. But then you look at the other side, identity. That's low resistance. Actions become an effortless expression of who you are, and it becomes your unbreakable default setting. A disciplined person doesn't have to try to be disciplined, they just are. The action flows from the identity.
And this isn't just some abstract feeling either. This internal fight has a very real physical cost. That cognitive dissonance we were just talking about, it literally drains the fuel, the glucose and oxygen, from your prefrontal cortex. That's the sophisticated part of your brain that handles focus, discipline, and decision-making. So when you're fighting your own identity, you are actively robbing yourself of the very brain power you need to win. You're basically engineering failure right into the system.
Okay, so if willpower is a trap, how do we get out? We stop fighting the system and we redesign it from the inside. And that brings us to the solution, the narrative engineering system. Now, this is not about chanting feel-good affirmations in the mirror. This is a clear, systematic, 3-phase process for rewriting that self-script and turning all that resistance into effortless momentum.
The whole system really breaks down into 3 core phases. First up is the narrative audit. This is where we become detectives of our own minds. Second is the rehearsal and reframe, where we become the architects of a new identity. And finally, the new action signature, which is where we become the builders, creating the proof that our new story is real. Let's break down each one.
Phase 1, the narrative audit. The most crucial point here is this: you cannot change a story you haven't even identified. This whole phase is about radical self-awareness. It's about listening to those quiet, automatic thoughts that pop up right before you procrastinate or give up. You need to actually capture your limiting script, that same old story of, I'm not good enough, or I always quit. And from that script, you pinpoint the main villain, your internal antagonist. This is your core limiting belief.
Phase 2, the rehearsal and reframe. So once you've identified the villain, it's time to write a new hero into the story. You have to deliberately craft a new, empowering identity statement. And this is key, it has to be in the present tense. Not I will be, but I am. For instance,
I am a person who executes with focus. But here's the masterstroke. You have to rewrite the meaning of your past. All those failures that your antagonist uses as evidence against you, you reframe them. They are no longer proof that you're a failure. They are the high-cost lessons, the tuition you paid to become who you are today. Then you rehearse this new story every single day, carving it into your mind.
And finally, we get to phase 3, the new action signature. Look, an identity is just an idea until you prove it with action, but it doesn't have to be some huge dramatic gesture. The signature action is a small, symbolic, but totally non-negotiable daily behavior. I want you to think of it as casting a vote for your new identity. Every single time you do it, you're giving your brain fresh, undeniable proof that the new script isn't just a fantasy, it's your new reality. This is what makes the change stick for good.
Now, all of this might sound good in theory, but the reason it's so powerful is that it is built on the fundamental principles of how our brains actually work. So let's shift from the what of the system to the deep why. These are the psychological engines that power this whole thing. This isn't just motivational fluff, it's a genuine cognitive upgrade.
First off, this system works because it brilliantly flips cognitive dissonance on its head. Remember that awful mental friction that pushes you back into old habits? Well, by installing a new identity statement and rehearsing it, you create a new, powerful standard for yourself. All of a sudden, it's your old destructive habits that create the friction. Procrastinating now feels uncomfortable and out of alignment for the disciplined person you are becoming. Your brain, always seeking consistency, is now forced to change the behavior to match the new, more powerful belief. You're making success the new path of least resistance.
Second, it taps into what we can call the brain's story protocol. Your brain is not wired to remember facts and figures from a spreadsheet. It's wired for narrative. Facts tell, stories sell, and your brain is the ultimate customer. By framing your journey of change as a classic hero's journey, where your new identity has to overcome that internal antagonist, you're speaking your brain's native language. It makes the new script memorable, motivating, and encodes it into your long-term memory way more effectively than a simple goal ever could.
And third, this process fundamentally shifts your locus of control. Think of it like this. Are you the driver of your life or just a passenger? An external locus of control means you believe things just happen to you. This system, however, forces you to build an internal locus of control. By auditing your own thoughts and deliberately writing your own script, you take the pen back. You realize you are the author of your own experience, and that generates this profound sense of self-efficacy, the belief in your own power, which is the psychological fuel you need to tackle anything.
All right, that's the theory. Now let's make this real. We're shifting gears into full-on coaching mode now. I'm going to give you your immediate, non-negotiable action plan. This is how you start your very first rewrite starting today. This is the implementation protocol.
We are going to follow this incredibly simple but powerful 3-step protocol. Think of this as your repeatable loop for transformation. Audit, reframe, act. Again, audit, reframe, act. This is the engine that is going to drive every change you want to make from now on.
Okay, step 1, audit the antagonist. Tonight, I want you to grab a notebook and just write down the 3 most common negative thoughts that run through your head when you fail to do something you know you should. Be brutally honest. Then look at those thoughts and find the core belief underneath them all. That is your antagonist. Step 2, reframe the meaning. You're going to take that limiting script and transform it into a powerful present tense identity statement. So if your script is, I'm lazy and never finish things, your new statement is, I am a disciplined person who executes with focus. And then you will say this out loud with conviction 5 times every single morning, non-negotiable.
And now the final piece, step 3, your signature action. This is the daily proof that locks the new identity in place. You need to design one small symbolic action that is a daily vote for this new identity. And it has to be something you almost can't fail at. So, if your new identity is a disciplined person, your signature action could be as simple as starting your first task of the day at the exact time you scheduled it, not 1 minute late. That tiny act of personal integrity sends a massive signal to your brain. This new story is real.
Okay, as we bring this all together, I want to distill everything we've talked about into the single most important lesson. If you remember nothing else, remember this. This is the core philosophy you need to carry with you as you start to master your own inner script.
Your life is not dictated by your past actions. It is dictated by your interpretation of them. The past only has the power you choose to give it right now. Your failings aren't your destiny, they're just data. By changing the meaning, by reframing the story you tell yourself about those events, you change the entire trajectory of your future. The power isn't in what happened, it's in the story you choose to tell about it, starting today.
So, I'll leave you with one final question to really think about. Right now, in this moment, what is the story you live inside? Is it a story that you consciously chose, one that you designed? Or is it an old, outdated script you inherited somewhere along the way? One that no longer serves the person you are absolutely determined to become? Your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to audit and rewrite your core limiting belief tomorrow. Start the process. Take back the pen. So let's just do a quick recap. Narrative engineering solves that deep problem of self-sabotage and the failure of willpower. And why this matters so much is that it gives you a systematic way to create permanent change by aligning your actions with your identity. The narrative audit and rehearsal framework works because it resolves cognitive dissonance, making your goals the path of least resistance, and it taps into your brain's own story protocol, making that change stick. And I want you to always remember this: productivity isn't about doing more. It's about mastering systems that make focus effortless.